I changed. Good afternoon. We will, when staff get in place, we will go ahead and get started. We ask you to please pardon our tardiness. That's right. That's all right. Board Member Moore and Board Member Rowe.
Bro got his.
He got his.
So too.
I share mine with, I good. Yeah. Okay, we can share.
Wait, is there other things on there?
Good afternoon. We call our Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order Monday, June 17, 2024 at 2:35 p.m. At this time, of course, we're going to ask the board members, have they read and reviewed our May meeting minutes from our meeting on May the 20th, 2024?
Motion to approve?
It has been motioned and second to approve our minutes
ma'am.
from our meeting on May the 20th, 2024. All in favor, please do so by saying aye.
We have a question.
Last month, we were dealing with BZA 2413. I thought we were going to get an update this month on that, and I didn't see it on today's agenda.
Okay, Board Member Brigham, please make sure your mic is on, and it may be on, or please speak in your mic, please, for us.
See, there we go. I was asking about BZA 2413. We were supposed to be getting an update on that this month, and I don't see it on this month's agenda. So what's going on with that?
Okay, we're going to ask staff to answer that, please.
Okay. In fact, I just did receive a copy of a deed to the applicant. However, it's not a recorded deed. It's not a signed recorded deed. So it does appear that he's moving forward and obtaining that piece of property, but until we get a copy of a signed recorded deed, I cannot confirm anything else but that
Okay,
at this
so
point in time.
is this being carried over to next month then?
Yes, it would then be automatically carried over to next month. If I remember correctly, the motion from last month basically said to continue it until he could provide the information needed or not. So we would continue it to next month as well, yes.
All right, is that sufficient, Board Member Brigham?
It's about all I can get.
Okay. All right, it has been motion and second to approve our May meeting minutes, May the 2024. All in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes have been approved. Our meeting statement of powers reads, the Augusta Board of Zoning Appeals hears and makes decisions on applications for variances in accordance with powers granted under Section 1-4-88 of the Augusta, Georgia Code. The applicant must provide any scale drawings or plot plans, including all dimensions, pictures, or any other supporting information at this meeting. Only information presented at this meeting may be used in any future hearings regarding this petition. Any person affected by the board's decision may file an appeal with the Superior Court of Richmond County, Georgia, within 30 days of the decision of the board. The meeting will be conducted in accordance with the board's bylaws and rules of procedure and the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order, unless otherwise directed by the majority of the board in session at the time. A minimum of 10 minutes shall be afforded for the presentation of data, evidence, and opinions on each side of a petition. If more than 10 minutes is afforded to one side, then an equal amount of time shall be afforded to the other side. The board encourages participation in this hearing, and there is no restriction on who may address the board within the allotted time. But the board asks that public comments be brief, on subject, and directed to the board, not to any individual or group. BZA-24-14.
This is a petition by Elizabeth McGee on behalf of Patrick and Sobeth Rayleigh, requesting variances from sections 8-8A and 8-8C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to reduce the front setback along Henry Street from 30 feet to 12 feet, to install a swimming pool, and to reduce the rear setback from 40 feet to 11 feet to construct an attached garage addition. Property located at 1004 Monsanto Avenue, zoned R1, one-family residential.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Catterton, and I'm from Planning and Development, the Development Services Administrator. And as Brian said, this request concerns a 0.4 acre parcel at the southeast corner of the Montesano Avenue and Henry Street. And it features a 3,228 square foot home originally built in 1911. And the applicant is seeking 2 setback variances to allow for the addition of an in-ground pool, 2-car garage, and covered outdoor living space. The garage and outdoor living space would add approximately 1,420 square feet to the home. The garage will be situated approximately 11 feet and 5 inches from the lot line adjoining 2550 Henry Street. Based on the orientation of the house, this is considered a rear setback. The minimum by right setback is 20% of the lot depth, approximately 40 feet in this instance. A reduction to is 11 feet. A reduction to 11 feet is requested to accommodate the garage. The swimming pool will be situated approximately 12 feet and 8 inches from the front lot line along Henry Street. Pools may not encroach within the setbacks. Henry Street carries a minimum front setback of 30 feet. A reduction to 12 feet is requested to accommodate the pool. This property is located within the Somerville Local Historic District, and these additions, should the variances be granted, will also need a Certificate of Appropriateness, COA, from the Historic Preservation Commission, the HPC, granting approval for this design. As of June 5th, staff have not received a COA application pertaining to these improvements. The Board of Zoning Appeals previously approved a variance at the December 18th, 2023 meeting for the property. This was to permit a masonry fence along the front lot line that would be 6 feet in height and at its highest point. The fence has not yet been installed and would also require design approval from the HPC. At the time of writing, staff has received an inquiry regarding this petition from an adjoining property owner. They sought further information on this petition and did not voice an opposition for the request. With regards to the rear setback, the two factors are at work. First, the 40-foot by right setback applies as the addition is attached to the principal structure, were the garage to be detached from the home. A 10-foot setback would apply, which would be met. Second, while the lot line in question is a rear lot line for 1004 Montesano Avenue, it is a side lot line for 2550 Henry Street, which carries a setback requirement of 10 feet. The requested reduction would result in similar setbacks on each side of the same property line. As for Henry Street, the front setback reduction, only the proposed pool will encroach into the current setback requirement. No new structures are to be added, and the previously approved wall should provide screening for the pool. And that concludes staff's presentation.
All right, thank you, Ashley, for that report. Can we please have the petitioners for BZA-24-14 please come to the microphone, and please state your name and state that you have the authority to, your name and your address, and let us know that you have the authority to speak on behalf of Patrick and Sobeth Rayleigh.
Yes, my name's Elizabeth McGee. I'm an architect for the Rayleighs. My address for the office is 420 and a half 8th Street, Augusta, Georgia 30901, and I'm representing the Rayleighs today. Just want to echo, there's a couple of setback scenarios because the fact that it's on a corner, and so it just depends on which one you're looking at. If you're looking at the primary being the setback from Henry Street, then the pool would fall within the side setback. But if you're looking at it from Henry Street, then the swimming pool encroaches into the front setback from Henry Street. But with the fence or the wall that was approved previously by the BZA, the swimming pool would not be visible. And you can see from the pictures that the site is a little bit elevated from the road, so the elevation in combination with the wall would screen the swimming pool. We have not, the Rayleighs originally thought they would move forward with the construction of the wall, but they decided to wait and build the wall along with the addition should it be approved by HPC. And depending on the vote today, we have the application ready to submit for HPC for the July meeting. I'll answer any questions that you have.
All right, at this time, do we have any objectors in the audience for this particular petition, various requests? Okay, all right. Any questions or comments by board members at this time?
Yeah.
Okay, Board Member Mooney.
Elizabeth, thank you for your presentation. In regards to the fence, I know it was on a slope, so we're keeping the fence at 6 feet as prescribed in the earlier variance. And that provides enough screening because I seem to remember at one point, I think the fence is only going to be like 3 feet high at one level and then 6 at the other from the inside, right? So if they're on their pool deck up there, it's only like 3 foot the wall. Is that enough screening?
I think from the road, just that vantage point, from driving by there, it seems that even though on the interior side of the lot, what you're saying is true, just from the road, the elevation, I don't think you would be able to see. And it's still set back, even though it's protruding into the front setback of Henry Street, it's still set back enough off the property where I don't think that you would even see people in a lounge chair.
And I'll follow up with it just to kind of get a little bit more clarity. I don't know that I vocalized it right, but does that interior height of the fence meet the criteria for pools in terms of fencing? Isn't there a minimum set height for pools?
I think it's 4 feet.
Okay.
So what we've talked about is, we may have to have someone come out there and look at that. It's going to depend on the construction, like the constructability to know exactly, and since we're close, we we would probably have to coordinate that with the city and also HPC, because we've talked about above the masonry wall, you could add iron if you needed to extend, so it would still be visibly transparent. But again, that would have to be approved by HPC, and
Yeah.
if we don't have to, we wouldn't, but we've got to
Yeah.
balance all the requirements.
And that, just to the other members on this board, that would be my concern, is that while the existing variance for the fence is there, if we add a pool and then we have to go back to that variance to make it even taller to meet the needs of the pool, that's something that we probably want to keep on our
Sure.
radar. But thank you.
All right, can we please have staff recommendation?
The variance request does not meet all the criteria as established in Section 33-5C of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, and therefore staff recommends denial. I do have potential conditions if the board would want to approve, if you'd like to hear those.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Should
please.
the board move to approve the applicant's request, there are two conditions. Number one, approval of the variance is for a reduction in the rear setback to not less than 11 feet and a reduction in the front setback along Henry Street to not less than 12 feet. Approval of the variance shall not constitute approval of the design of the addition. The applicant therefore acknowledges that approval of a COA, Certificate of Appropriateness, shall be granted by the Historic Preservation Commission prior to obtaining a building permit and commencing work.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Any more questions or comments by board members at this time? Okay, Board Member Brigham.
Is the applicant agreeable to the condition?
Mr. Brigham, please turn your
Yes,
mic on.
ma'am.
for us.
I know, I'm guilty. Is the applicant agreeable to the conditions stated by the staff?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll make a
Go ahead,
motion.
Board Member.
I'll make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
It has been motion and second for us to approve this variance request for BZA-24-14 with staff's recommendation. All right, you're going to do a roll call vote, Amber, or?
All right, so we're going to do a roll call vote for BZA 2414. That's an approval with staff recommendations. All right, Board Member Forrest, how do you vote? I didn't hear you. Approve. Okay. Board Member Miles?
Approve.
Board Member Rowe? Board Member Mooney?
Approve.
Board Member Williams? Board Member Morton? Board Member Brigham?
Approve.
Board Member Turner?
Approve.
And Board Member Chivers?
Approve.
All right, so BZA 2414 has been approved with staff recommendations.
All right, you have your approval. The letter will go in the mail to you on this week. Have a great one. I'm going to ask board members, please be mindful that we are being recorded. So I'm going to ask you to please be so kind to make sure when you get ready to speak that you please turn your mic on, please. Please remember to turn your mic on. BZA-24-15.
Okay, this is a petition by Ellen Pruitt on behalf of Clark and Andrea Newton, requesting variances from sections 8-1B and 8-8A of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to legitimize construction of a 6-foot brick wall and brick pillars within the front setback and reduce the front setback along Ravenel Road from 30 feet to 0 feet to construct a pool equipment shed located on property at 730 Somerset Way. The zoning is R1, one-family residential. And staff will present.
Thank you. My name is Rachel Martin, Planning Projects Coordinator for Planning and Development. This case involves a 0.95 acre tract located at 730 Somerset Way. The property is currently developed and situated in a single-family residential neighborhood along Somerset Way, a residential street. The applicant seeks approval of two variances, one to replace an existing brick wall with a slightly taller one to allow for a privacy wall, and one to locate a new pool equipment shed, replacing the previous one that has already been removed so it can be placed up against the privacy wall, utilizing existing utilities in that area of the property. The property is a triple frontage lot bound on 3 sides by local streets, Avenel Road, Gwynns Lane, and Somerset Way, with an alleyway on the south side of the property. With a triple frontage property, the height of the fence is limited to 4 feet. Therefore, the applicant must have an approved variance to construct a brick wall fence of 5 feet and stay in compliance with Section 8-1B of our current zoning ordinance. The brick wall fence must be 4 feet to be compliant with the International Swimming Pool and Spa Code. The applicants wish to provide additional safety and security by increasing the height of the fence surrounding the swimming pool by 1 foot, making the fence 5 foot. The building front setback requirement is 30 feet according to 8-8A of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. The applicant seeks to place a new pool equipment shed 0 feet from the property line backed up to the proposed brick fence along Ravenel Road. According to the applicant letter of intent, the purpose for locating the new pool equipment shed up against the brick wall along Ravenel Road is to allow for the existing utility infrastructure located there to be used. It is the only location that allows adjacent access to the house for utilities and will not require major reworking of the pool systems, and it is the most unobtrusive location from both the owner's side of the wall and the public road right-of-way. At this location, there is a 3-foot difference in elevation, and the shed will sit lower than the adjacent street and will be partially hidden by the new wall and existing bushes on the the street side. The submitted drawings shows that the west side eave of the proposed pool equipment shed will hang over the brick fence into the road right-of-way of Ravenel Road. At the time of completion of this report, no inquiries have been received by staff concerning this variance application, and that concludes staff presentation. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Rachel, for staff's presentation. At this time, could we please have Ellen Pruitt please come to the microphone? And please, when you get to the microphone, state your name and your address and that you have the authority to speak on behalf of Clark and Andrea Newton.
Good afternoon. I'm Ellen Pruitt. I'm with CFS Architects. Our address is 420 8th Street, 30901. I'm speaking on behalf of Clark and Andrea Newton, who are here this afternoon. I'm their architect. And this is a part of a larger backyard renovation that they are taking on. They have purchased a contiguous piece of property behind that also fronts Ravenel Road. It goes behind that property. That property is the one that actually has the brick wall on it. They're replacing a wood fence, and just want to make 2 quick clarifications. One is to meet the pool code for a 4-foot high fence from the outside to keep people from going in. This is actually just opposite of what you saw at the previous property. The street is high, and the pool deck and their property is low. Where that existing fence sits, I need to have 4 feet, 3 feet back from the fence. When I go 3 feet back, that fence height needs to be 5 feet to make the 4-foot pool code work. So that's we're not just increasing, we're meeting the pool code with the wall, and then they are replacing with a more attractive wall. It is behind a lot of existing foliage that will remain, so it's difficult to photograph just because they're being careful to keep that foliage. So that's one clarification I wanted to make. The other one is the pool house itself. We were trying to build into the wall, just to make it smaller. However, we ended up with a roof overhang to match the house, and that did go into the right-of-way. The owners are fine with setting that pool house back. They would like to set it back 3 feet from the wall, just to have space between the wall and the pool house for storage or whatever. So if they do that, then the overhang will not sit in the right-of-way, and the beauty of that location is it's so much lower than the road, it really will not be visible. That's all. Thanks.
All right, thanks. You have done a wonderful job presenting.
Well, thank
So
you.
you got your chance and you did it. You did it.
You like my arm, my graphics.
All right. We need more female architects.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, do we have any objectors in the audience? All right, any questions or comments from board members? If not, can we please have staff's recommendation?
Planning and Development staff does recommend approval of the variance with the following conditions. Number one, a 5-foot brick wall along Ravenel Road may be installed. The pool equipment shed is to be located 3 feet from the property line along Ravenel Road behind the newly constructed 5-foot wall. And no overhang, nor any portion of the structure shall protrude into the road right-of-way. Any changes to the plan must be approved by the Director of Planning and Development or their designee. And number 3, a building permit shall be obtained before the installation of the privacy wall, renovations to the existing pool, new construction of the pool pavilion, and the new pool equipment shed. The proposed development shall comply with all other standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Richmond County, Georgia, at the time of construction. And that concludes staff's recommended conditions.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Board Member Mooney.
are the applicants agreeable to the conditions stated by staff? Motion to approve with the staff's recommendation?
A second.
All right, it's been motion and second to approve with staff's recommendation. All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, you have been approved. Your letter will go in the mail to you on this week.
Thank y'all.
All right,
Did the
thanks.
applicant state that she agreed?
Yes, she did. She
Okay,
said
I
yes.
didn't hear her. That's the reason
Yeah,
I was
Board
asking.
Member Mooney asked the question.
I heard him. I didn't hear the answer.
Yeah. All right, y'all have a great day. BZA-24-16.
Okay, this is a petition by Mark Dreyer on behalf of Richmond Enterprises LLC. They're requesting variances from Section 28-B-9A of the comprehensive zoning ordinance to allow for 2 building-mounted signs, each measuring 881.5 square feet, where a maximum sign surface area of 229 square feet is allowed. Property is located at 699 Broad Street. The property is zone B2. As stated in the pre-meeting, the applicant is here as they are requesting a postponement until next month's meeting. The reason I asked him to be here is to just make it official with regards to the board approving the postponement till July. So if the applicant wants to come up and make the official formal request.
When you get to the microphone, please state your name and address for the record, and if you're speaking on behalf of Richmond Enterprises, that you have the authority to do such.
Okay. I am Mark Dry with Caruso and Dry Design Group, 531 Rose Lane Street, Marietta, Georgia. Here representing Richmond Properties and Wellstar. And as was stated, we are asking a postponement until next month so that we can better assess the staff report with our client.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Board.
motion to approve the postponement until July meeting?
I'll second.
All right, it's been motion and second to postpone BZA-24-16 until our July meeting. All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, you have your proposed postponement until July.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a great one. BZA-24-17.
This is a petition by William Good requesting a variance from Section 8-8B of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 8 feet to construct a sunroom addition on property located at 1908 Heathers Court. Property zoned R1A, one-family residential.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Cruz, and I am a Planner 1 with the Office of Planning and Development. This variance request concerns a 0.26 acre tract located on Heathers Court, This property is situated in the Heathers Glen subdivision and features a 2,474 square foot built home built in 2004. To construct a sunroom addition, the applicant is seeking approval to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 8 feet. This property is zoned R1A, one family residential. A side yard setback of 10 feet is required. According to the site plan submitted by the applicant, their house already encroaches into the 10-foot required side yard setback. The requested reduction from 10 feet to 8 feet is a 20% reduction in the side yard setback requirement. And lastly, at the time of completion of this report, staff has not received any inquiries regarding this variance application. And this concludes staff's report.
All right, can we please have the petitioner for BZA-24-17 to please come to the microphone? Please state your name and, of course, you're representing yourself, so just state your name and address, and then, of course, it's your opportunity to share with the board anything you want to share with us.
Good afternoon. My name is William Good. My address is 1908 Heathers Court, 30906.
Okay, at this time, you've heard staff presentation. Now you can share with us anything you want to share with us concerning this variance request.
Well, I guess for us, we was not truly clear of the, I think the initial, when they drew up the site plan, and it stated the 10 feet, and I wasn't like clear on what was the measurement coming from, like from the fence, my neighbor's fence, or from the back of the yard. So we wasn't clear on that, and it just, I guess to come to get clarity, because I had a patio built that was there before where the building is going. So the only difference between the patio length and the building would be the roofing, which is the same size as my storage shed, so.
Okay. Do we have any objectors in the audience? Okay. Do we have any comments or questions by board members?
Does staff have updated language on including the existing 8-foot?
I looked at it again, and the initial condition, one of the conditions for approval, is that the approved variance would allow for an 8-foot side setback along both sides of the property line. So that was actually in the initial draft or the initial report. So we could go with that.
So if we make a side setback of 8 feet, then that would bring his existing non-compliant corner into compliance.
Correct.
All right. Then I guess I don't want to trump anybody, but if anybody wants to hear staff recommendations, I guess it would be a good time.
I would like to hear staff recommendation. Now that we know that we can make it come back in line, could you help us with that, please?
Yeah, because there's 3 conditions.
Okay.
And staff would, not as a condition, but staff would want to let the property owner know that they may want to have a survey done of your property to make sure exactly where your corners of your houses are in relationship to your property lines. But should the board move to approve the applicant's request, staff recommends the following conditions. The approved variance would allow for an 8-foot side setback along both sides of the property lines. Number 2, a building permit shall be obtained prior to the construction of the sunroom addition, and the proposed addition shall comply with all other standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta or Richmond County, Georgia at the time of construction. And we do have a condition, I'm sorry. And number 3, a certified survey shall be submitted with the application for the building permit. And that concludes staff's recommendations.
I have a question for the applicant. Are you in agreement with what staff just recommended for approval?
Yes, ma'am. But here's, I guess one question is, it says that on 2 sides of the property that the construction would interfere with? Is that what it says?
No, what the variance would allow for would be 8-foot side setbacks on your north property line and that kind of southeast property line.
Okay, yeah, okay, we're good.
Okay, so you're okay with that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
if there's not any other questions,
And-
I would, okay, we do have some more questions.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I did have a question about the site survey. I just want to make sure the applicant understands why we're requesting that with this, is that if this drawing is not an official drawing and it's 8 feet, and then suddenly it's actually 7 feet and we only approve 8 feet, it could be complicated in that regard. So you're aware that a survey is just clearly stating where those lines are, so that way we can clear. Okay.
Okay.
Double check.
All right, any other? If not, I would motion for approval with staff recommendation.
All right, it's been motion and second for approval with staff recommendation. All in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, sir, you have your approval. The letter will go in the mail to you on this week.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. BZA-24-18.
A petition by Sterling Augusta Apartments LLC requesting variances from sections 22-4 and 16-7B of the comprehensive zoning ordinance to reduce the side setback from 10 feet to 6 feet to legitimize construction of an existing apartment building located on property at 420 Top Golf Way, property zone B2.
Good afternoon again. This is Ashley Catterton, the Development Services Administrator with the Planning and Development. And as Brian stated, this applicant is requesting a side setback variance for one apartment building, which is located in a 296-unit developed apartment complex on 12.73 acres. The variance is needed to reduce the side setback on building number 2 from 10 feet to 6 feet to legitimize the construction that's already been completed. The original request was presented to the Board of Zoning Appeals on October 21st, 2019, requesting 2 setback variances, one front setback from 40 feet to 12.5 feet for building number 4, and a rear setback from 50 feet to 15 feet for building number 2 in the proposed apartment development, but not the side setback. The site was also vacant during this time. The conceptual site plan for this development project was submitted back in March of 2019 and received a conditional approval from the Planning and Development Department in September of 2019. Full approval of this project was dependent upon the BZA granting approval of the initial front and rear setbacks variance request in case number BZA 1942. The BZA granted approval in October 21st, 2019. The apartment buildings for this development were constructed in 2020 and 2021, according to the Q Public Net Richmond County GA Online Property Report. The applicant states in their letter of intention that building number 2 was approved for a set-foot side setback during the initial site plan review process back in 2019, which is why they moved forward with this development. According to Planning and Development records, no documentation during this time has been found supporting this statement. The initial variances requested in the BZA 1942 case pertain to front and rear setbacks and did not include any side setbacks. At the time of completion of this report, staff has not received any inquiries regarding this variance application, and that concludes staff's presentation at this time.
All right, thanks, Ashley, for giving us that wonderful staff presentation. At this time, we're going to have Mr. Trotter, of course. We just saved the best to last.
I'm back.
All right, could you please? Could you please state your name and address for the record, and of course that you're speaking on behalf of Sterling Augusta Apartments, and you have the authority to do such.
Yes, my name is James Trotter, 3615 Walton Way Extension, and I do represent Sterling Augusta Apartments. They developed these apartments next to Topgolf back in 2019 and 2020. We did come forward to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a number of setback variances to fit the site in there. One of the reasons is it was very difficult to determine on this piece what was front, what was rear, and what was side. And there were a number of different interpretations there. Then the other thing that changed is that circle for Topgolf Way was going to, the site was laid out as though it was going to be private, then it became public, so that changed all the setbacks there. We did file, as the staff mentioned, a 2019 variance application, it included a number of setbacks. It included this side 6-foot setback that you see circled up there for Building 2. That was in the request. I was here for that hearing. The final approval of that 6-foot side setback did not make it into the final letter. It was one of the requests, and it was just an oversight on my part as well for not making sure that was in that final letter. So the building was built according to those approved plans with that 6-foot side setback. It received a CO, and we're here trying to clean that up now, to clean the record up to have that 6-foot setback approved.
All right, thanks. Do we have any objectors in the audience? Any comments or concerns by board members?
Staff approval or staff recommendation?
Staff recommendation?
Staff recommends approval. Let's see, Planning and Development staff recommends approval of the variance from 10 feet to 6 feet for the side setback on building number 2 as it meets all the criteria set forth within the zoning ordinance.
Motion to approve with staff's approval?
Second.
There's been motion and second. It has been motion and second for approval with staff recommendation.
Can we get Mr. Trotter to agree to the conditions?
Mr. Trotter, do you agree with staff's
Yes, I do.
recommendations?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Trotter does agree with staff's recommendation. So it has been motion and second for approval. Please, if you're in favor of approving this, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Trotter, you have your approval.
All right, thank you.
Letter will go in the mail this week. Thanks. Have a great day.
Have a good week.
Anything from legal?
Seeing none, the law department, nothing but legal session.
All right, meeting's adjourned.
Did he say? I said, he be fast and quick with it, doesn't he?